Welcome back to One on One. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Sammy Gyamfi. So I want us to start our conversation on the press conference that you held earlier in the week, where you said that consistently perpetrators of violence have been emboldened by the nonchalance of the Akufo-Addo government. Our once revered state security agencies have been bastardized by the NPP, who continue to integrate their vigilante elements into the security agencies. Isn't it too much? Isn't it like extreme to make such a statement? What evidence do you have that they've recruited vigilante into it? I mean, why not stick directly to the Ejura Committee's report?
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
Right.
It is an indisputable fact that our state security agencies have been bastardized by the incumbent NPP administration. And we saw this play out during the Ayawaso-West Wuogon by-elections. We saw it play out during the 7th December 2020 elections, where persons who are known NPP vigilantes have now been clothed with military attires, national security apparels, okay, and are used to perpetrate violence, brutalities on innocent civilians during elections. You recall that during the Ayawaso-West Wuogon by-elections, some hoodlums clothed in national security apparatus, which we were seeing for the first time, okay, brutalized and maimed innocent civilians, shot at people, beat people. We saw all the videos. The short committee or commission was commissioned to investigate that unfortunate incident. Specific recommendations were made against some of these hoodlums. People like Al-Hassan, the known NPP thug who is a member of the Invisible Forces, who assaulted a sitting member of parliament, Honorable Sam George, for example, was recommended by the committee to be sacked, and prosecuted. That has not happened. As a matter of fact, if you check the white paper the president issued, he rejected some of these findings. Double, who was wielding a G3 weapon without any authority to do so as a national security operative and all that, were people who were recommended for punishment, but who were whitewashed, or if you like, defended by the Akufo-Addo government. Not just Ayawaso-West Wuogon, you're also talking about the voter registration exercise, which went on ahead of the 2020 elections, and where we saw the military, and I say military in quotes, being used to prevent people from voting, people from a certain area from voting. And we saw that in Banda, we saw that in parts of the Ashanti region, the Hafuano area, we saw that in Aflao. Okay, these were targeted exercises against people of a certain origin who were being prevented from registering because they were branded as non-Ghanaians, they were branded as aliens. And the people who were used to perpetrate these atrocities, including beating some of them, maiming some of them, were people who were clothed in official military uniforms, national security uniforms, and so on and so forth. And you look at the way they behave, you can clearly see that these are not the normal. These are the same people who were deployed on 7th December 2020 and throughout the coalition process to met out atrocities to innocent civilians in Techiman South, in Ablikoma Central, in Savelugu, which led to the unfortunate death of 8 innocent civilians. Right. And again, Bridget, these are the same people, these vigilantes, who have been integrated into the military and other security agencies by none other than President Akufo-Addo, the Commander-in-Chief, are the same people who committed the atrocities we saw in Ejura on the 29th of June, 2021, where you saw military officers without any provocation or reasonable justification shooting live ammunition into a crowd of peaceful protesters. And even as the crowd was retreating, you saw soldiers actually kneeling down, taking aim, and shooting at some of them. Unfortunately, 2 of those young men from Ejura Abdul Yusuf Nasser and Mutala Mohammed were killed, murdered in cold blood by these soldiers.
So now why the one police officer has been moved and action has been taken against the military officer who was involved?
No action whatsoever has been taken. And if you look at the recommendations, the Justice Kumsin committee which was set up to investigate that matter, have put forth in their 55-page report. It is an insult to the sensibilities of the affected families, the victims, the people of Edra, and the people of Ghana at large. Because the recommendations are weak, they are deficient, they are insufficient. It looks as though the committee was even endorsing the wrong acts of these officers. And let me explain to you why I say so. With regards to the police commander for Edra, DSP Philip Hammond, who was the one who started this whole disturbances, because according to the committee's findings, he was the one who, without any legitimate cause, deployed the police water cannon vehicle to the burial grounds of Machukaka. When he appeared before the committee and he was asked why he did that, he said he deployed the vehicle there at the instance of Kake's family, a claim Kake's family flatly denied, and which was found to be untrue by the committee. So they were going to bury Machukaka, who had been murdered a day before. Now, without any legitimate cause, they decided to send this water cannon vehicle, which led to all the disturbances and all that. Now, this police officer, who also acted irresponsibly, in fact, he was the one who, before Kaka's murder, wrote a letter dated 15 June to Kaka, warning him about some of his social activism activities in the DRA, which they claim were exposing the police, the DRA MC, and the entire Kufuor government to public ridicule and opprobrium. What did he get? Not even a slap on the wrist. A normal administrative transfer from a DRA to another station. That was a recommendation of the committee. Now, how can that normal administrative measure of transferring a police officer in the same capacity, the same rank to another station constitute disciplinary action? That cannot be the case. That is no punishment at all. It doesn't even constitute a slap on the wrist. What we were expecting is that at least this police officer would have been dismissed or demoted. Okay? Because if you look at the soldiers who were involved in the beating of some civilians in Wa a few weeks ago, specific sanctions were meted out to them. Some were demoted and all that. Specific sanctions. In this case, all the police commander got, per the recommendations of the committee, was a normal transfer. Yep. In time past, the police and the security agencies have touted transfers as a normal administrative measure. So why is it being presented as punishment in this case?
But why would that even, why is it that we have somebody like Dr. Vladimir Nchudanso, the chair who's as the High Court judge?
Yeah, a Court of Appeal judge, actually.
Court of Appeals judge.
Justice George
so these
Kingsley
are
Simpson.
Distinguished individuals who were tasked to sit on the committee and come up with a report. But why would they be influenced in any way? Why is this outcome not accepted by all?
It is not accepted.
How is government able to influence such distinguished individuals? That's what I want to understand.
And that is why Ghanaians are disappointed in the work and the reports of the committee, because we expected something better from them. Okay, this is just one of the recommendations. I can take you through other recommendations and other findings, 40 findings, which we as a political party are totally appalled, about. And it is not just us. Of course, you've heard the family of the late Kaka rejecting the entire report.
Absolutely,
why are they rejecting the entire report? They don't know Vladimir Nchudanso from anywhere. They don't know the Court of Appeal judge, Justice Kingsley Kumsin, who I respect so much. They don't know him from anywhere. Why are they rejecting it? It is because what they have done is just a cover-up. They are trying. But
my question: why would the committee be interested in covering when they are just a fact-finding committee, and they said so themselves?
Because the main reason for the setting up of the committee in the first place, by the Minister for Interior and Bruce Derry acting on the instructions of President Kufuor, was to delink Kaka from the Fix the Country movement conversation and to shield the perpetrators of that crime who have connections with the ruling NPP. And that is what they have done. They were paid to do that, and that is what they have done. Look, the soldier who led the detachment of 10 soldiers you know, and actually shot into the crowd, killing people and maiming people, several others in the process. What was the recommendation by the committee? A very nebulous, vague recommendation that the military command should review their conduct and apply what they describe as appropriate sanctions. Now, like I told you, in the case of the war brutalities by soldiers, specific sanctions were recommended and announced. Why is it that in this case, this committee did not indicate any clear specific sanctions that should be meted out to the soldiers? They established, okay, that the soldiers used excessive force. They established that they had no legitimate cause to shoot into the crowd. Okay. And that even if they were going to shoot, they could have used rubber bullets or other logistics to disperse the crowd, rather than firing live ammunition. They didn't do that. Okay. And so what you do is that you recommend the outright dismissal and prosecution of all these soldiers, led by one Lieutenant Martin Opoku-Edusei, because what they did amounts to reckless disregard for human life, which is menstrual when it comes to the offense of murder. And they should be prosecuted for that. Soldiers cannot hide behind the uniforms they wear and shoot at civilians they are supposed to protect, civilians whose taxes are used to pay them. Okay, kill them and get away with that. It's becoming one too many. Yet the committee didn't make any specific clear recommendation on this. What about the political actors and top military officers who even deployed the soldiers in the first place and gave the orders they gave them? Because the committee found, just as we had already, you know, indicated, that the deployment of the soldiers to quell that riot in Edra was totally needless and unnecessary. It was needless and unnecessary because the police could have contained that. It is not the job of the police to quell a protest, a peaceful protest by civilians, and that you only call in the military as a last resort in such circumstances. But that was not the case. The soldiers were called in as a first resort. And so if the committee says the deployment was wrong, what about Ashanti Regional Minister, Honorable Simon Osei Mensah, who recklessly deployed the soldiers and gave them the instructions he gave them without any reasonable intelligence or legitimate basis? What about the 4BN commander? What about the General Officer Command and Central Command Kumasi, who were responsible for that wrongful deployment? They cannot go scot-free. They have to be held accountable and responsible for their actions. Okay? And finally, Bridget, what about all those senior military officers and police officers who appeared before the committee? We watched them on national television telling blatant lies. Okay? And if you look at the committee's report, they say that some of these senior police and military officers lied when they appeared before them. But they didn't make any recommendations against them. They forget that they were under oath to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. Yet they lied. And lying under oath constitutes the offense of perjury, which is a second-degree felony. Yet they left them off the hook. They lied that it was the protesters who were shooting at them, and that is why they shot into the crowd, and that even the 2 people who died were killed by bullets from gunshots from the crowd. They lied that they gave verbal warnings to the crowd of protesters before they started shooting. They lied that so many lies they told. Yet they've all been left off the hook. So look, what this committee has done is nothing but a cover-up. And that is why the family has rejected it, and we support that rejection, and we think that the people of this country should support that rejection. We deserve better. We deserve nothing but the truth, justice, and fairness in this matter. The issue of who killed Kaka is something that I would want us to discuss if we get the time and the opportunity, because for me, that is the gravest of all the falsehood and the injustice that has been perpetrated by the Justice George Kingsley Kumsin Committee as far as this matter is concerned. They claim that the late Kaka was murdered as a result of a family feud and not as a result of his fix the country social activism. It's a barefaced lie, which is not borne out by the facts. And I
just want to continue on the security line. I mean, we've recorded a number of daylight robberies. Myself, a victim, not there, but my shop attendant. With respect to the IGP, I mean, he's one that has been recommended. His tactics, people have hailed how he's even personal with the Abesie murder. He reached out to them. But then we keep seeing these things. What are we not getting right with respect to the kind of insecurity that people are experiencing now, and how much of a dent do you think this would have on the IGP, given that he's been accepted by all?
Well, when it comes to the maintenance of law and order, which is primarily the duty of the police, the IGP has a role to play because he's the head of the police service. He's been in office for a few months, and so we need some more time to be able to assess his performance as an IGP.
Absolutely.
Okay. It's just that sometimes I feel that some of the praises which are heaped on him are undeserving. But
why?
We still need to give him time. We still need to give him time and see how he performs. The issue is that our once revered state security agencies have been bastardized. And this bastardization has taken the form of the integration, or if you like, the incorporation of MPP vigilante elements into these services. And here I'm talking about the police, I'm talking about the military, I'm talking about particularly the national security. Okay, now these institutions which were once revered are fast losing their credibility and their integrity, and it is about time something was done about that. Apart from that, the commander-in-chief, the president, the vice president, Dr. Bawumia, will have to do more in resourcing these security agencies with what they need, okay, to be able to fight some of the security issues that are coming up, particularly the issue of robbery. I mean, robbery has now become a rampant phenomenon in our country today. A lot of Ghanaians, especially businesses that operate in the night, work in fear, especially the Momo operators.
Most of them, they actually attack during the day. Actually,
now, at first they were closing early.
Yeah.
Because they were afraid of working late.
Right.
But now they are being attacked during the day. That is how alarming the situation has been. Banks are being attacked and all that. And you don't see any deliberate policy, plan, strategy by our security agencies to quell this phenomenon. That for me is alarming. So it boils down to leadership. If you ask me what is wrong with the current security situation in the country, everything boils down to leadership. The rest has to do with effect. If the commander-in-chief, his vice president, Dr. Bawumia, who is the head of the police council, will get their acts together, resource the state security agencies, and stop the political interference in their work and allow them to do their professional work, I believe that we can see some significant progress in that area. But before we move away from the draft committee discussion, let me say that we are totally disgusted by the finding of the Justice Kumsin committee, and we are disgusted because that finding is not borne out by the evidence and the facts which were adduced before the committee, which showed that even before Kake's murder, he himself had recorded audios and videos in which he had indicated that his life was under threat. That people connected with the New Patriotic Party who were uncomfortable with the social activism and how he was exposing them had threatened his life. This was corroborated by his wife, his friend, and other family relatives. How the committee can parry that or dismiss that and accept hook, line, and sinker the unverified accounts of a so-called friend of Kaka and one co-tenant and come to that conclusion leaves much to be desired.
So I want to talk about John Mahama 2024. Is he standing 2024?
Unfortunately, my name is not Joyce Bawa Mukhtari.
No, but then
she's the one who speaks for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
But
I don't have the authority to speak for him on such matters. I think that.
But would you want John Mahama to stand 2024?
Of course I would want him to stand. And of course I'll be very unhappy if he decides not to stand. And I know that he knows that a vast majority of Ghanaians, not just NDC supporters, will be very disappointed in him if he decides to let us down by not standing. And so knowing him as a listening leader, I know he will take the right decision by standing. But when that time is ripe and he deems it fit to make that announcement, I believe he himself or his spokespersons will do so for him.
Okay.
I am a national officer.
Okay. So I quickly want to talk about something that came up in the 2020 elections. Dr. Bawumia had said that he was engaging in tribal politics. And
who was engaging in tribal politics?
John Mahama was engaging in tribal politics. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had mentioned it because he had no message. How much do you think that hurts his chances? I mean, really, how much do you think that kind of statement hurts his tribal politics? And is it a deliberate attempt by NDC to play on that?
Well, I don't know how anybody can accuse the NDC or John Mahama of playing tribal politics, because the NDC is truly the only national mass political party in this country, made up of people from all walks of life, people from diverse ethnic and regional backgrounds. And we've shown that from 92 till now. If you look at the leaders we have chosen, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, he was from the Volta region. President Mills from the central region. We've had President Mahama from the northern region, people from all parts of the country. I'm not sure that our brothers in the MPP can talk about that. They have only chosen sadness, okay, to be on their presidential ticket. If I take the running mate or the vice presidential positions too, you can see the same trend. And so we don't discriminate, because we see Ghanaians, we see ourselves as one people. We are all Ghanaians, first of all. President Mahama, anybody who knows President Mahama will tell you that he doesn't condone tribalism or ethnocentrism at all. He's a patriot and a nationalist. And so that claim by Dr. Bawumia is not borne out by the facts. And if you look at the campaign we ran in 2020, it was an issue-based campaign which we prosecuted on the basis of our People's Manifesto that had a lot of good policies for the people of this country. But for the fact that, you know, we made certain mistakes which the MPP capitalized on with the help of the G-Mensa-led Electoral Commission, we would have won power.
What mistakes? What mistake did NDC make?
Maybe that is not something that we can discuss on this platform on this day. But
you admit that
I believe that
had made some mistakes.
I believe that we could have been more vigilant.
Right.
Okay, we could have been more vigilant with how we policed the ballot, particularly at the polling station, where I believe a lot of ballot stuffing took place, like President Mahama said few weeks ago. So, and that is why we are saying that as for 2024, we have learned from our mistakes. We're going to be extra vigilant. It's going to be do or die at the polling stations, and we're going to make sure that we are not going to cheat the MPP, and we will not allow them to cheat us, and that the will of the people expressed at the polls on 7th December 2024 is what will be upheld at the end of the electoral process. So President Mahama is not tribalistic at all. He's a nationalist. If you look at his record, you go to every district in this country, every region in this country, and you see monumental developmental projects that President Mahama, you know, delivered for the people. Look at a place like Ashanti region. He's not an Ashanti. The people of Ashanti region vote, you know, mainly for the MPP. That is the stronghold of the MPP. But look at what he did for the Ashanti region. He gave them an ultramodern market, the KJTR market, $268 million, the biggest investment in the history of the Ashanti region. He upgraded the Kumasi airport such that today flights can go to Kumasi in the nights. He gave them 12 community-day senior high schools. You have one at Pakoso, one at Agrek and Zema, one at Adujama, one at Ufenswa Suso, one at Banka, Jaso, and so on. He gave them so many hospitals. Some he completed, others he couldn't. You go to Siwa, he started a 500-bed regional hospital for them at Siwa. He started a military hospital in the nature of the 37 military hospital for them at Afari. He started the Konongo District Hospital, the Formena District Hospital, and so on and so forth. So many projects he did for them in the area of health, education, and all the sectors. Yet he's not from Ashanti region. How can you accuse this man as somebody who is tribalistic? They get all their votes from the Ashanti region. Can they tell us what they have done for the people of Ashanti region in the last 4.5 years? And what they have done in our stronghold, the Volta region? Even the projects that we started, they have abandoned most of these projects, the schools, the hospitals. They've abandoned. It took them 4 years before they operationalized the whole airport. Why? Because they don't care about the people of the Volta region. They claim they don't vote for them, and that no matter what you do for them, they will vote for the NDC and so on. So if we are looking for people who are ethnocentrist, self-centered, inward-looking, tribalistic, then it is Dr. Bawumia and his boss, not President Mahama.
Right. So the conversation about presidential jets is still continues to dominate headline, and I know you've spoken extensively on this one. But I just want to know that, don't we need a national, airline for our president, a presidential jet? Don't we need that? Because whether we like it or our presidents would travel, they would need to be there. I know people would say, there are others who fly, commercial or not, but don't we need a jet?
Absolutely. I believe that Ghana needs a presidential jet.
Okay, so we should buy one.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Ghana needs a presidential jet for our presidents. And we have one. We have one called the Dassault Falcon 900EX,
sure,
which was bought by the Kufuor administration in 2008. It arrived in the country in 2010 under the Mills administration. And $45 million of the taxpayers' money was what the Kufuor administration used to buy that jet. It was delivered in 2010, so it's less than 11 years old.
Sure.
Okay, so we have one already. And that jet is fit for purpose. It is airworthy. In fact, as we speak, it is in pristine condition. The last time the Minister for Interior Defense, Dominic Nitiwul, appeared before Parliament to answer questions about this jet, he confirmed that the jet was airworthy. Okay? And so, if this is the jet President Mahama used, President Mills used, and even when the jet was not available because of a technical issue,
yes,
they flew commercial or they flew modest private jets. Why is our president, this wasteful President Akufo-Addo, renting luxurious private jets for his foreign trips at a time the state presidential aircraft is available? In only 3 months, we have spent 10 million Ghana cedis of the taxpayers' money on the luxurious trips of the president. He claims that he wants a jet which has, facilities like a shower, because he wants to be able to bath in the skies and all that.
Away from that.
No, that is what he said. What is what the Minister for Defense said when he went to Parliament. Those are not my words.
Sure.
Those are their words. Okay, and they've been making so many weird justifications and arguments about why they need a new we don't need a new presidential jet, because what we have is fit for purpose. What we need to focus on are the priorities of Ghanaians. People are suffering. The economy is in shambles. Teachers are on strike. Our school children at the basic level do not even have access to textbooks. Our secondary school system is in tatters because of the double trust system, which has been occasioned by the lack of infrastructural space. There are no school blocks there. Okay, you go to a hospital, quality healthcare delivery is a problem in Ghana today because of access. The hospitals are not there. The hospitals are full to capacity. And now the Nobel syndrome has reached an alarming level where you go to the hospitals and you see people littered all, around across the floor because there are no beds for them. People want jobs. The youth of this country who are screaming, fix the country, they want jobs, they want opportunities. We want good roads. These are the things that this government should concentrate on. You cannot be in the situation we find ourselves in and be thinking about luxury. You be thinking about your personal comfort. In this year alone, they've heaped as many as 6 taxes on us. Bola tax, COVID levy, this tax, this year. And that has increased the prices of general goods and services so astronomically without any commensurate increment in incomes, such that today most Ghanaians are suffering. You go to the market today and prices have shot up. Okay? And so you cannot be collecting our taxes in these difficult times and be using that to acquire private jets or to be paying for useless trips. In 2019 alone, is it this pension for profligacy, luxury and all that, they didn't start today. In 2018 alone, according to the Auditor General, this government spent 62 million Ghana cedis on the foreign travels of the president alone in only 9 months. Imagine the good this money could have been used for.
Isn't that why if we had a jet that is fit for purpose, we would be cutting
down? But the jet we have
there.
is fit for purpose.
But that's not what they are saying.
Because they are lying to you. The jet
So
was
how
in
about if we
Paris.
sell-
The jet was in Paris a few weeks ago. The jet was in Paris. If the jet is not fit for purpose, why is Oponwia using the jet?
Right.
Why is the president of Guinea-Bissau, the president of Sierra Leone using the jet? At first they said that the jet cannot travel for long hours. Then we told them the jet can travel for 9 continuous hours. President Mahama flew it to Paris and other European countries on countless occasions. And even when you want to go to the US or across the Atlantic Ocean, all you need to do is a 30-45 minutes maximum refuel stop.
Okay.
In any case, the luxurious jets they are renting today also do refuel stops. Okay, on his recent trip to US, the jets he rented, the Boeing 737, which cost us $14,000 per hour, did a refuel stop at the Azores in the North Atlantic. When he was coming back, he did a refuel stop in Cape Verde. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with our jet. The last, ridiculous justification I heard for a new jet was the argument canvassed by by Gideon Boako, Dr. Bawomia's technical advisor, who said that our president is so tall, so tall, that he is unable to stretch his legs in the Falcon 900 EX. And people were asking on social media whether our president has become so tall that today he's taller than George Oponwia, okay, and President Mahama, and so on. When he went for the latest UN General Assembly, you had presidents like the Zambia president who flew commercial in Qatar Airways with a delegation of 3. And do you know that President Mahama flew commercial, that is British Airways, anytime he went for the UN General Assembly? He flew commercial, okay? Then the president of Namibia also flew the Dassault Falcon 900 that they bought in 1991, 20 years before we bought ours. That is what he flew to the United States of America. But this Nana Show boy can promise, you see, this president who is chilling instead of governing, this president who is living like an Arabian king when his people are suffering, thinks that the Dassault Falcon 900 EX is not good for him. Okay, he is too big. He's not good. He wants to fulfill his childhood fantasies as president. So he will use the taxpayers' money of the already impoverished Ghanaians on Boeing 737, Airbus ACJ320 new, which costs this country $20,000 per hour. Look at all the monies we are wasting. And these monies could have done a lot in terms of the construction of schools, the provision of textbooks, hospitals, potable water for people in Ghana who even lack potable water. Yeah. You have only increased the salaries of public sector workers by 4%. And today they are up in arms because they are suffering. Times are tough for them. And you are telling them to tighten their belts, to burden share. Okay? And whilst you're telling them that, you are living like a Russian oligarch. That is unacceptable. Okay. That is the same thing his bosom friend Alpha Conde did, which resulted in the Guinea uprising. I'm not calling for such an uprising in Ghana because we need to consolidate our democracy.
Has said we don't need a coup.
We don't need a coup, and we don't want a coup. But leaders, political leaders, must be sensitive to the plight of their people and act responsibly. The irresponsibility, the recklessness, the waste of the public purse is getting too much. He promised to protect the public purse, and that is what he should do. But unfortunately, he's not doing that.
Are you impressed with Minority in Parliament's performance so far? We're really excited about, having the almost even representation in Parliament between the two parties. So far, are you impressed with how your party's representatives?
I wouldn't want to comment on my assessment of their performance or on their performance publicly. It is something that I would want to share privately. Privately.
It means you are not impressed with it, because if you were impressed, you wouldn't shy away from saying that.
No. It's something I don't normally like to discuss, in the media space. But the truth of the matter is that the Minority Caucus, has done a lot of laudable things. Okay. They were very, very proactive on the issue of the Sputnik V vaccine scandal, but for their vigilance, Ghana would have lost over $20 million through that scandal alone, because this government was going to purchase the Sputnik V vaccine at a price of $19 per dose when the international market price is less than $10. And it is the Minority in Parliament which saved us, that scandal. And they've done a lot of good things that we commend them for. But we also, and I think they themselves concede that there are other things that they could have done differently, and that there is more room for improvement. And so we'll continue to work with them and support them to do more for the people of this country and the party
Okay, thank you very much, Sammy Gyamfi. Sammy Gyamfi is
by the way, let me commend you for the good job you're doing for Ghana.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you very much for joining us on One on One. You heard the National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress. You can send your comments via all our social media platforms at Metro TV GH. If you're on Facebook, it's at Metro News, and use the hashtag One on One.